Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Rise of the Goddess Collective. If you're listening to this in 2025, I want to begin by naming something honestly. I'm in a new season of my life. And as you know, we're always evolving and growing, exploring. I am now, and I kind of joke about it with my friends and my family, that I'm semi retired now, and that this shift has quietly changed how I move, how I listen, and how I care for myself. Not because everything is suddenly easy, but because I finally have space to try new things, space to feel, space to notice what actually keeps me steady in a changing world. There's a lot happening right now, as you know, collectively, personally, energetically. And I find myself asking a familiar question again, just from a wiser place. What actually keeps us afloat? And how do we become steady light without burning ourselves out in this intense chapter in our lives? That's what this episode is about. Lifeboats and lighthouses, not as concepts, but as we live our practices. So as you listen, I invite you to soften your shoulders, unclench your jaw, just opening and closing it and kind of massaging, and let your body be part of this conversation. You don't need to fix anything today. You're just here to listen. So, with my semi retired state status and practice as lifeboats, one of the gifts of being semi retired is that my body finally gets to vote. Not a loud one, a quiet, consistent one. Lately, that looks like going to Pilates twice a week. And that's a Pilates class with a reformer, which was one of the things on my bucket list to actually start doing as I had more time. So I was very excited when I found out that a studio opened up, and I started a couple of weeks ago. And, some days I feel strong, and other days I feel like kind of shaky, but every time I feel present. It's not about pushing, it's about staying connected in the body, in the emotions, and understanding that as we take this time for our bodies, we are nourishing ourselves in a deeper way. And I really love to kind of weave together like my own somatic practices that I've done and have learned over 20 plus years in the last 5 or 6, going deeper within the energetic, somatic, breath work, sound healing. Got certified in breath work, have taken many sound healing sessions with many practitioners. And I really, really came to realize how and what was missing in my own practice. Because as a young child, I actually used to sing. I actually would practice notes, and it was something that I was working towards. Besides working towards also being a professional skater to be, right? So I really wanted to start really incorporating this because I know that I've learned that regulation doesn't come from discipline alone, because I'm very disciplined. It comes from the relationship with the body, right? So, one of the things that I feel like my lifeboat that I've created now looks like is I do some yin yoga that teaches me how to soften without collapsing, right? It's like just like laying on the bed or laying on the couch. No, I'm actually intentional and aware how I want to work with my yoga body. And you can't do this without breath work. It's all intertwined. So having that somatic breath work training and practicing, it's allowed me to not rush the nervous system and just listening to the sound of the sound bowls or just listening to my own voice, even though at times we can be in that state of judging. But this isn't about that. It's not about that, because it's about taking the sound and allowing it to be released in a way that feels vibrational, and it moves what words can't say. And sound healing, where vibration moves but words can't say, is allowing the voice to be activated, letting sound come out even when it feels vulnerable, right? And feels like, oh, that sounds weird. We are not weird. We are just enough, right? So, another component of my practices that I do for myself and also for other clients is a free flow somatic movement. It's a dance where nothing has to look good. And this is so, so liberating, so invigorating. And at times it can be very vulnerable and emotional, which is all good because it's like mixing it up in that pot, right? So juicy. Mix those practices up in the pot and just stir it and look and be the observer of what has arrived and what it is that I have breathed and activated within my space. this is so important. I realize how important, even more now, with the way the world is. It's so important to have these practices. And maybe you don't have time to do all of them. Maybe you spread them throughout your week or your day. You maybe just like collect a few of them in the morning to do first thing in the morning. I also love to just go for a walk. Slow walks around the Charles River here in Massachusetts. I just love the way, for me in Watertown, because it's tons of trees, tons of birds and doves and owls and all kinds of interesting beings, letting this rhythm restore me. Okay, it restores me. And I've been curating also a new playlist with specific sound bowls. And interesting, this past weekend, I actually went to a sound healing and learned about many other sound healing tools that I started to play with and actually just practice with the sound. It was like a mini lesson in how to create your own personalized practice. And I really felt so blessed and honored to be given this blessing from these two amazing practitioners. And I just felt that it's important to really integrate this sound healing. So I went into my Spotify playlists, and I do have my own gong and my own, like, sound bowl. But I wanted to like put a playlist together because I loved all the different instruments, and I don't have all those instruments. So a flute, and then a little mini we call it harp, which I'm super excited. I think I'm going to get that for the holidays, maybe my birthday. And sound bowls are here to not perform healing. They're supposed to create space for it. So that's why I love when I'm doing Reiki on myself or my friends or clients. I really see the difference, and they too are just blown away with the experience. And always, always when they return, ask for that playlist, or ask me, hey, have you created any other juicy playlists while you were away? And so they always know when I'm going away, because they're like family, my clients. And that's how I really cultivated a strong, strong business. So these aren't luxuries in my mind. And I know some people might be saying, oh, this is a luxury. And it's not. It's really not. They're lifeboats. They're absolutely lifeboats. And they're the practices that keep me afloat, not because they fix me, but because they bring me back into myself. And you know that I've been writing my book, and I started it way before I met my husband, and then stopped writing, and then started back writing about, I'd say about 4.5 years ago. worked with a writing coach and really developed a great relationship of what writing is. And we created an outline. And then I just started to play and write. And as she would say, you are an artist as a writer. Think of yourself sculpting. And as you write, you are sculpt. And you don't keep resculpting, you just keep laying the clay. So like keep writing. And that's what I did religiously. In the last 2.5 years, I finally came to an awareness that, writing this book is listening to my own emotional body. And at the same time, even though I'm deep in the writing, it's a novel, it's a memoir, it's a comic truth-telling container. I wanted it to be all the things because it couldn't just be one thing, because then that would be too simple, right? So writing, it's reminded me something important. Our emotional body doesn't speak in bullet points. It speaks in sensation, memory, timing. Take a deep breath right now and just exhale out. And just really lean in and listen. When I slow down enough to feel into my emotional body, I notice what it wants attention. Not intellectually, but physically. Tightness. I can feel the tightness. I can feel the softening. I can feel the resistance. And I can also feel the relief. That's the part of the decoding authority work too. And I know you've seen my new decoding authority consulting that I do, even though I'm semi-retired. That's part of trusting the body as a source of intelligence, not something to override. And I had to evolve into this. First, it was the being and the becoming the goddess. And then it was the understanding of all of the other lessons I had to learn. And that brings me to a story I want to share with you, because it's where this understanding really began. And this is in the book. So it's the story about the motorcycle accident. There was a time in my life when I really wanted to believe in the fairy tale, not the Disney kind, the grown-up version, the one where you've done your work and cleaned up your side of the street, landed the solid job with the benefits, and now the final box to check is the partner. I was on that path. Corporate life, stability, visions of vacations and ease dancing in my head. So when a coworker mentioned a high-end matchmaking service, expert analysis, curated pairings, I thought, why not? What do I have to lose? The date was lovely. Lunch turned into hours of conversation, easy laughter, shared values, a long walk where I noticed how kind he was to strangers and how respectful he was to elders. And then he invited me on a motorcycle ride for the next date. to the Cape. I felt excitement and immediately kind of hesitated. I said yes with conditions. No highway, back roads only. And I told no one, not my parents and not my daughter. Some part of me already knew the ride felt freeing, wind movement, possibility, until we reached a three-way intersection. This three-way intersection I knew very well. It was tricky. And I even whispered in my date's ear, this is a really tricky one. Be careful. And a pause happened, a misjudgment, and suddenly I was on the pavement. I remember the impact, the shock, the stillness afterward, lying there, my body aching. My date rushed to help me. I had a moment of clarity that surprised me. Life does not care about our stories. It doesn't care how much we want something to work or how perfectly we've arranged the narrative. As I healed physically, something deeper shifted. I saw how much energy I had spent chasing the idea of having it all together. How much I had outsourced safety and happiness to outcomes, appearances, and relationships. The motorcycle accident became my first real lifeboat. Not because it saved me, but because it interrupted me. It forced me to slow down, to feel, to listen, and it taught me this. Sometimes what knocks us down isn't punishment. It's interruption, an invitation to stop believing in the fairy tale and start building a life that's real. And that's where you can start to see how these practices need to be integrated. I became the integrating lighthouse goddess queen. Here's what I know now. Lifeboats are emergency plans, they're daily practices, and lighthouses don't strain. They don't chase, they don't shout, they stand regulated, embodied, present. This semi-retired season has taught me that my lighthouse shines best when I'm not performing stability, but practicing it. When I move my body, when I breathe, when I let the sound move through me. Let's do it together. Oh. Feel that sound move through you. When I write honestly, when I walk slowly, that's the energy I'm carrying into 2026. Less hustle, less proving, and more integration. So I leave you with this gentle reflection. What practices are quietly becoming your lifeboats? How your lighthouse shines simply by staying present right where you are. You don't need a dramatic transformation. You don't need a perfect plan. Just need something that brings you back into yourself. Thank you for listening. Thank you, all of you, for being a part of this collective. I could not have done it without your inspiration guiding me. And thank you for choosing a way of living that honors both your nervous system and your truth. I look forward to next time, next year. Move gently, breathe deeply, and let your light be enough.